think my mic's on. Yeah, I kind of messed up a little bit there. All right, so second episode of the week. I usually do it on Mondays, but well, I usually do my first episode of the week like this, but I kind of had a busy weekend, so I hadn't seen the new episode of I hadn't seen the new episode of The Mandalorian yet. Now I have, so let's break it down. Season 2, Episode 6 of The Mandalorian. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Alright, so I gotta tell you, I was very excited for this one because it was directed by my boy Robert Rodriguez, who I'm a fan of. I respect his work. He's kind of an accomplished guy. He's an indie legend. Unfortunately, a lot of cool things happened. I mean, a lot of cool things happened. Unfortunately, the story was it had some holes in it. It had some holes in it, and unfortunately, I hate being this person. I hate being the guy who has to point those things out. And I also kind of love it at the same time. I don't know. I guess it's who I am as a person. But anyway, before we get into it, let me just give you a quick reminder that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. Also, live streaming on YouTube and on Twitch at Super Dario World. If you want to check out this video later, if you can join me, in the live stream, and you want to check out, because they do images and stuff, and it really helps people follow along with the story. This video will be up on YouTube later today or tonight. I don't know, at Super Dario World. So, let's get into it. Let's begin with the newest episode of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 6. This is Chapter 14, The Tragedy. So, let's begin with the new characters. New, old characters, I guess. We've got Boba Fett. For those of you who don't know who Boba Fett is, I guess you don't know nothing about Star Wars. But let's say Boba Fett is an iconic Star Wars from the original Star Wars trilogy who really doesn't do much. I mean, he's important for the story, but let's just say he kind of got a crappy exit from it, and it was really underwhelming what he ended up doing in the series as a whole. He's a bounty hunter, by the way. Now, for those of you who don't know, in the prequels, his father is actually Jango Fett, and Jango Fett, they take his DNA to create all the clones for the clone army from the Republic. So, this guy, Boba Fett, is a clone of Jango Fett. It's his son, whatever. Any way you want to look at it. Can a clone be your son? I don't know. The point is, that's where he comes from. He's one of the most respected and coolest bounty hunters in the galaxy. The last time we saw him in this show, he made a brief appearance. I believe it was episode 1 at the end of it. Clearly, he was tracking Mando. And I believe that's the last we've seen of him in this show. Now, the other character that's actually a returning character, we have Fennec Shand. Now, Fennec Shand, if you guys don't remember, this is, she's a sharpshooter, and we actually meet her season 1 in Tatooine. Basically, Mando and some loser dude team up and decide to go after her to get a quick bounty. So, he ends up getting betrayed, and basically he leaves her for dead. And at the end of the episode, we see some dark figure show up to save her, or talk to her, or, I don't know, or to do a double tap. Since she's actually standing here right now, I'm guessing you guys can figure out that she was actually saved, but who knows. I'm sorry I killed the suspense. Anyway, so those are the two characters that actually matter in this episode. So let's begin with the summary. So the episode begins with Mando and Grudo. I believe it's Grugo. I'm sorry. Is it Grugo? I just need to double check my notes here real quick, because it's a terrible name. And I remember, was it Grogu? I'm sorry. Backwards. I'm saying it backwards. It's Grogu. They're in space, and basically Mando is kind of trying to see if he can do the Force trick again, using the same metal ball. And then afterwards, he kind of just starts talking to himself. You know that thing people do when they're talking to their pets, but they're actually talking to themselves? That's exactly what Mando was doing here. He was basically saying, like, no, if we go over there, you have to do this, and if we find a Jedi, you have to go with them, blah. And he's actually kind of trying to convince himself, That's what happens. And so they arrive at the planet, and they arrive at the place where they're supposed to meet up. The Jedi, supposed to be kind of like a Jedi temple-ish. And so he puts Grogu in the center of it, and he's like, all right, well, do your thing. While he's waiting to see if something happens, we have a spotting of a ship. And for those of you, again, who know about Star Wars, this is Slave 2. Now, it's possible it's Slave 3. We don't know. But that is Boba Fett's ship. And so, people freak the fuck out. Rightly so. Rightly so. You got an iconic ship landing here. It's going to be probably an iconic encounter between the new cool Mandalorian and the old school badass Mandalorian. And so, Mando tries to immediately turns around to see Baby Yoda, and he's actually making things work there at the temple for some odd reason. So he tries to get him out of there. Doesn't work. He ends up getting blasted, and so he decides to go check things out. Now, this is something that annoys me, but I guess, again, it's just who I am as a person. He had the superior position there, kind of, because, you know, he had the higher ground, and he decides to go lower ground, which is honestly a bad idea because, you know, from up here, you can see everything. You can be like, oh, they're coming from this side, they're coming from that side. You can shoot them from up top. Here, they can just ambush him really easily. But, all right, it's a Mando strategy. It's his life. He can do whatever he wants. Next, he meets up with Boba Fett, and they have a nice conversation. They end up realizing that they're kind of in a Mexican standoff because Mando is like, I'm pointing a gun at you, and Boba Fett is like, yeah, well, I have a sniper pointing at Baby Yoda. So how about if we just have a chat? And so so Boba Fett takes off his gun, and he asks Mando to take off his jetpack. Why his jetpack? But all right. So he takes. So here's where Finnick shows up, you know, and she basically says, "Oh, this is what happened to me. This is how I survived." And Mando takes off his jetpack, and she shows him like, "Oh, well, this is what happened to me." And she shows that basically she has a mechanical stomach. Anyway, so while they're having this conversation, basically what Boba Fett wants is he wants his dad's armor back, which we know that Mando has based off of what happened on episode 1. Well, yeah, episode 1 of season 2. So he wants his armor back, and Mando's like, well, you're not a real Mandalorian. And Boba Fett is like, fuck you, I'm not loyal to anybody, but I'm a real Mandalorian. And so this leads to them not being in really friendly terms. And so they decide, all right, this is what we're going to do. So what is it they do? Oh, yeah. So Boba Fett promises, you know what? I can guarantee you the safety of the child if you just give me my armor back. And so they agreed on that. And at that moment, Imperial ship lands. Well, it appears in Atmo, and they land. So Mando immediately rushes to where the Baby Yoda is. Now, if you guys can see Mando's back here, he forgot his jetpack. And so he's rushing to get back to Baby Yoda, forgets his jetpack. I don't know if you guys know this, but jetpacks kind of make you faster. So if he really wanted to get there quickly, he should have gone the jetpack. But this episode is really, really based on this. It relies heavily on the fact that Mando can't move around quickly. And that's one of the big issues of this episode. But anyway, let's continue. So while Mando shows up again with Baby Yoda, and he fails, and he kind of gets knocked out at trying to get him out of the force field that he's in. And so we see a bunch of stormtroopers land, and they land right next to the Razor Crest, which is Mando's ship. And they start being taken out by Boba Fett and Finnick, you know, because they have a superior precision. They're up on a hill. They have cover. They have sniper rifles, and so they start taking them out. And then this a-hole stormtrooper there is just standing around like an idiot, which is ridiculous, but whatever. I can't keep complaining about the Empire. I just can't. I just can't. I'm gonna skip actually a lot of stuff from this battle. It has its moments. It has its moments. We get to see Boba Fett fight with his really weird kind of like stick mace thing. It's really weird, but the fight's really cool. Actually, the action is pretty decent. Then we see there's this mortar shell guy, this mortar shell stormtrooper, which actually, honestly, it's not a bad idea to try to take out a sniper with a mortar. It's not a bad idea at all, especially if you don't know exactly where they are. You just throw an explosive in a particular area and you hope you hit them. So it was solid strategy. The issue here is that the chick with the sniper rifle doesn't take him out immediately. That's if you see somebody in bright yellow coming out and setting up a mortar, or maybe like, I don't know, machine gun, that's the first person you take out. If you guys have ever played, I don't know, Star Wars Battlefront, those are the first dudes you try to take out, especially if you're a sniper. Anyway, so let's continue. So in the meantime, it looks like the battle's going their way, but then another ship arrives and they land. And so Mando tries once again to try to take Baby Yoda out of the force field, because, you know, the definition of insanity, right? Anyway, So, and he decides, you know what, I can't do it. So he finally decides to go and join the battle. So he joins the battle. Him and Finnick, you know, they're covering each other's backs. Finnick's actually pretty clever because he's using Mando as cover. The stormtroopers are really dumb because they're not shooting at Mando's legs. And all of a sudden, we have finally the big reveal. Boba Fett got his armor from the Razor Crest, and he shows up and he kicks ass and he takes names. And he kicks so much ass and he takes so many names that all the that all the stormtroopers decide to get the fuck out. So they just run away. So they outnumber the dude and they decide to run away, which is again annoying to say the least. And so they run all the way back to their ship and they decide to, you know, blast all out of there. Now, I want you to see something very interesting about these ships. You see right here on the sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 2 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4 blasters. So massive, giant cannons, blasters on both ships. What? And they run away. So they have superior numbers, they have superior firepower, and they run away. Instead of shooting, you know what I would have done? I would have just shot them with the stupid carrier things. But that's not the Empire. That's not the Empire. Anyway, moving on. So Boba Fett uses his rocket launcher that's in his backpack and takes out both ships with one shot, which is impressive to say the least. I'll just leave it there. It was impressive, an impressive shot. 1 in a million, some would say. Anyway, so both ships get taken out, and while they're, you know, celebrating that, yeah, that's kind of we took him out, whatever. A blast comes out from Atmo, and it hits the Razor Crest, destroying it. So now they're fucked, right? So we realize that, oh shit, Gideon's here, because apparently those cruisers or transporters came from somewhere. And they send, Gideon gives the order to send 4 Dark Troopers. So 4 Dark Troopers go into action. They land right where Baby Yoda is, and they take him. They kidnap Baby Yoda. And so Mando doesn't arrive there on time. Boba Fett hops on his ship, Slave 2, and he's in hot pursuit. He decides not to blast them because that would kill Baby Yoda. And then he realizes, oh shit, these Dark Troopers are heading straight to a cruiser. And at that moment, he realizes the Empire has returned. So, I mean, not before when they were fighting Stormtroopers, and not before when the Dark Troopers came out. And until he saw a cruiser, that's when he realized the Empire has returned. But okay, and then something really weird happens. The Empire has our 3 heroes outgunned, outmatched, and outnumbered. So what do? They kind of run away. Again, really weird stuff. Really weird stuff. The Empire is annoying. Annoying is a good word. Anyway, so then Mando, he starts going through, you know, the wreckage of his ship. He finds the little ball, and he's like, I'm gonna take this, you know, because the memento of Baby Yoda. Things are coming full circle, guys. Things are coming full circle. And then he finds the spear the Beskar spear that he acquired in the previous episode. And I want this to be noted. He said that the only thing that he salvaged from that ship is that spear. You guys remember, Mando has a really badass rifle. It's a kick-ass rifle. It also kind of like shocks people. He does not leave the wreckage with it. I want that to be... I'm pretty sure we're going to see that fucking thing again. But he does... He leaves the wreckage without it. I want that to be clear. The only thing he takes from the wreckage is the stupid ball and the Beskar spear. But I'm pretty sure we're going to see the rifle again. Moving on. And so he starts talking to Boba Fett, and Boba Fett shows him the lineage, basically the log of his armor, and he's like, oh yeah, here's my name, here's my dad's name, and he's like, yeah, my dad was a foundling. And so now Mando's like, all right, you can take it, because the code did not allow him to take the armor if he wasn't Mandalorian, and for some reason finding the log proves that you know what, doesn't matter. That, like, of all the things that I could not let go, that's something that I can let go. And also, he just kind of like helped him save us. Also, what the fuck are you gonna do? He's already wearing it. But and you have nowhere to. You don't have a ride, man. You're screwed. Doesn't matter. And so they decide. Boba Fett decides, you know what? I'm gonna help you, because we made a deal that the child will not be harmed, and I need to keep up my end because you kept up your end. I mean, I'm hoping Boba Fett has another plan here or something else, because a lot of stuff doesn't make a lot of sense if you ask me. But let's continue. Next, we see Slave 2 arriving in Navarro. But Mando basically tells the situation to his friend Cara Dune, and he says, "I need to find this particular dude, a sharpshooter." And it's basically Bill Burr. You guys remember Bill Burr from the prison episode, the jailbreak episode? Well, he basically needs to find him, and now we know that Mando's plan is to break that guy out of jail. So, guy who he left in jail, by the way. So I'll do a brief intro for him in the next episode. Don't worry, because I'm pretty sure he's going to show up either next episode or the one after that. But anyway, next we see Baby Yoda taking down a couple of stormtroopers using his force powers, which is actually pretty cool and pretty funny. And then Gideon shows up, and after the stormtroopers' asses get kicked, he kind of starts bullying Baby Yoda because Baby Yoda's tired, and he shows him the Darksaber. And Baby Yoda actually tries to take the Darksaber from him, but Gideon's like, "Nah, bitch, mine, haha!" And so he keeps bullying Baby Yoda, and he says, stun him. So he gets hit with a stunner, and and Gideon says, "All right, send an encoded message to Dr. Pershing that we got the donor," which I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure that the only reason that line is there is because somehow the encoded message will be intercepted. I don't know how. I'm guessing. I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. Otherwise, why even put it in there? Because we assumed that he was going to be sending a message. Anyway, and for the last scene, we get to see Baby Yoda in shackles, in prison, in the enemy ship. Bum, bum, bum. Dire situation for the little guy. So that was the episode. That's everything that happened. There you go. So let's move on to The Good, the Bad, and the Mandalorian.
I like those odds.
All right. So I hopefully I cut that out in time. I'm not gonna get in trouble again. So The Good, the Bad, and the Mandalorian. In The Good, the Bad, and the Mandalorian, I break down the things that I liked in the good. Well, in the good, I break down things that I liked. In the bad, I break down things that I didn't like. And in the Mandalorian, I'll share a fun fact. Spoiler alert, it will be about Boba Fett. Anyway, so the good, Boba Fett. Honestly, him fighting is kicking ass. It's about freaking time he got a little bit of redemption, because honestly, his exit from the series was pathetic. Pathetic. He didn't do anything. The only character that was more disappointing than Boba Fett is probably Captain Phasma, who also did nothing. Nothing beyond disappointing. So finally, he got a little bit of redemption here. He kicked ass, took names, came with the badass armor, came with Slave 2. Now, there's a lot of things that don't really make sense about his story, particularly why, if he was in Tatooine in Season 1, why didn't he just take the armor from the Marshal himself? Why was he tracking Mando? Because he said that he was tracking Mando because he had his armor, but why didn't he take it before? There's a lot of plot holes here, guys. But hopefully we'll get answers there. Hopefully Mando has another plan. He has ulterior motives. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt until they actually confirm stuff, or they don't confirm anything. I'll save it. I'll save it. Next, Baby Yoda actually fighting, doing stuff, actually, being a character that takes action, not just stuff happening around them. He's actually taking action, kicking ass, taking names. Good. It's good times. Also, Baby Yoda being left in a very, very, very bleak, very desperate situation. Good stuff. Honestly, good stuff. Now that's it for the good. Let's move on to and also the fighting was good. But I already mentioned that. I enjoyed the fight and all that stuff. But let's move on to the bad. So this episode basically is all what happened was cool. All right, I'll give it to you. If somebody told me in this episode, Mando meets with Boba Fett and Baby Yoda gets kidnapped after a big gunfight, he gets kidnapped by the Empire, I'd be like, whoa, that sounds badass. So what happened was cool. How they got there, not so much. Like, the fight was cool. How they got there, not so much. This entire episode is predicated on two things. One, Mando taking off his jetpack. Well, not necessarily. All right. Boba Fett demanding that Mando takes off his jetpack. I don't know why. I don't know why, if you're disarming somebody, you're like, take off your jetpack. It is beyond me. But all right. Mando taking off his jetpack and the Racer Crest not being destroyed immediately. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why is that a big thing? Because if you are the Empire, and I've talked about this before and other stuff, military strategy, you want to take away any means of escape. So if they had a tracker beacon on the Racer Crest, they had a shot that they were not going to miss because they knew exactly where the tracker was. So if I'm the Empire, before my cruisers even land, to not give him a chance to even run away, I would have blasted that thing from space. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, what? How about if they didn't know if Baby Yoda was in the ship? They couldn't take the risk. Granted, you send out a scouting regiment and you confirm that Baby Yoda is not there, and then you blast it from space. But whatever. There's one big reason why they could not take it, blast it away from space, and that big reason is Boba Fett's armor. Cause in the middle of the fight, if you guys remember, the fight started. Boba Fett, he did not have his armor on. At one point, he runs into the Razor Crest and retrieves his armor and puts it on. So the ship could not be blown up until he got his armor, which is bullshit. For writers, it's bullshit. You could have gotten to that result doing things way, way, way differently. Like, for example, I don't know, like I said, scout troopers, Boba Fett shows up by surprise, he realizes that they're scouts, and that kind of accelerates the situation, he manages to take the thing, and before the other cruisers show up, one of the scout troopers desperately manages to send a message to the ship, and so right before the carriers arrives, Boba Fett manages to retrieve the armor from that thing and get out of there. Is it cheesy? Yes. Is it cheesy? Is it the best thing? No, there's probably other options. I'm just saying off the top of my head. There's other ways that this could have been handled. And it really annoyed me. Really annoyed me. It's little stuff that annoys me. Then, the stormtroopers running away. They ran away. They had blasters here in their ships. They had superior power. They had the air. They controlled the airspace. They had better numbers. And still, they ran away. It's honestly, it's pathetic. Then the Dark Troopers show up, and the Dark Troopers don't do anything. I mean, they just take Baby Yoda, but again, how would I have handled this? I don't know, maybe actually make the Dark Troopers fight and realize that, hey, these things are way OP. That's usually what happens. When you introduce a new villain into a fight, usually he kicks the ass of the heroes, and it leaves the audience thinking, man, these dudes are big-ass danger. What are our heroes going to do? It's a dire situation. So let's just say, I don't know. All right, so speculating here, how we could have done this. So the Empire is not sure that Baby Yoda is not in the Razor Crest, so they send a couple of squadrons just to scout things out, or maybe see if they can do this peacefully. They were not counting on Boba Fett being there, and so the superior number, well, not the superior skills of Boba Fett, Finnick, and Mando lead them to kind of win that fight. That's when the Empire decides, you know what, we're going to blast this ship, make sure that they don't have a means of escape, and then they send the Dark Troopers in the middle of the fight. So then you got Mando and you got Mando, Finnick, and Boba Fett fighting against the Dark Troopers. They're losing because they're basically walking tanks. And so after in the middle of the fight, Mando starts to retreat. You have to go back to Baby Yoda. And as he's trying to get Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda realizes they're gonna get killed. I can't allow him to get killed, and so Baby Yoda pushes Mando away using the Force powers and allows himself to be captured, sacrifices himself to save Mando. I don't know, maybe that could be fun. It's really annoying when Mando is always the one that becomes a dumbass because anything happens to somebody mentions Baby Yoda and he immediately drops his pants, bends over, and becomes a dumbass. He forgot his fucking jetpack. Like, seriously, the thing that would have helped him get there faster, he forgot. So it's really annoying. And also, like I said, it really bugs me that Baby Yoda is not more of a character. Here, Baby Yoda actually would have taken an action. Baby Yoda would have shown how much he cares for Mando. He actually tries to save him. He actually tries to do something for a change. But no, fuck it. They don't listen to me anyway. Anyway, and so the other thing that I didn't like is the Empire, again, running away. You have a bigger ship. You have more guns. And those dudes are the only guys who are actually going to cause you trouble. They're the only guys who actually know that you took Baby Yoda. So you'd think they stay there and try to, I don't know, blast that ship into oblivion. Or maybe, I don't know, blast the Mando and Finnick, who are on the ground into oblivion. And there you go. You're free of enemies. But no. No. That would be too easy. That would be, that would be a smart plan from the villains. And the villains have to run away in the bigger ship with the bigger guns. So, there you fucking go. That was the bad. Let's move on to The Mandalorian. And of course, we have to talk about my boy, Boba Fett. Now, what we're going to talk about here specifically is why the hell is Boba Fett alive? Now, for those of you who don't know, the last time that we saw Boba Fett, I'm going to show you because I actually found a GIF. Here is the last time that we saw Boba Fett in, the numbered Star Wars movies. I believe this is episode 6, Return of the Jedi. We saw him fall into a Sarlacc pit, and here's that really pathetic moment in the saga. So there you go. Let me see if I believe this is better. There you go. It's a GIF. All right, so basically, Boba Fett gets hit in the jetpack by Han Solo accidentally. He slams on the cruiser, and then he falls into a Sarlacc pit. For those of you who don't know what a Sarlacc pit, basically imagine a giant worm thing in the ground that if you get swallowed by it, you get it's this very slow, very painful death, and you're basically there for the rest of your life. So, well, I guess when you die, you're always there for the rest of your life. Anyway, the point is that you stay there for a very long time, and it sucks. So that's the last that we saw of a good old Boba Fett there in the number movies. So not exactly a dignified ending, if you know what I'm talking about. So what happened to him? How did he get out of the Sarlacc pit and all that good stuff? Well, there's actually a book called Star Wars Tales from Jabba's Palace that has a short story that's about this. So this might be a little bit of spoiler alert, but I found actually a pretty good summary of it, and I'll just read you the summary if you care. Again, if you care, it's going to be different. They're going to do something different here on the show, I'm sure, but here's how it's at least in the expanded universe. So let me just read it here real quick. So it's a book, well, it's a tale called A Barb Like That, The Tale of Boba Fett. And so here's the summary. Again, spoiler alert, here's the summary of how Boba Fett got out of the Sarlacc pit. Boba Fett awakens inside the Sarlacc. Via the Sarlacc, he makes telepathic contact with the first of his victims, Suseho. Oh, Suseho? Well, I'll say Suseho. A series of flashbacks ensues, showing some of the Sarlacc's other victims, including a pair of Corellians and a Jedi. Other flashbacks detail Boba Fett's delivery of the frozen Han Solo to Jabba. Inside the Sarlacc, for some time, Fett is immobilized, and his armor is heavily damaged by the creature's digestive system. He learns that Suseho can exert some control of the Sarlacc. He goads Suseho, making the Sarlacc contract around his jetpack. The resulting explosion frees the bounty hunter from the Sarlacc's grasp. Then he fires concussion grenades into the wall of the beast, blowing a hole in its interior. Boba Fett escapes the Sarlacc, which, like him, is badly injured, but still alive. A year later, Fett returns to the Sarlacc and the Slave 2. Due to his prior contact with the Sarlacc, he can reestablish the telepathic connection to Suseho. He decides not to destroy the Sarlacc yet, but promises to return. So, there you go. That's the story of how he got out, at least the official one that we have. Again, it's going to be pretty different in this show, but you also need to explain why he left his armor behind and why it's not as damaged. Here you can see Boba Fett doesn't have a leg, and the armor is really corroded, but again, we'll see. We'll see. It's probably going to be something different, but I believe that's it for today. That's a good place to stop. Hope you enjoyed that. Why isn't this working? There you go. That's it. Like I said, it sucks. I'm a Robert Rodriguez fan, and a lot of cool stuff happened in this episode. It was just annoying how they got there. I think that's a fair way to describe it. I liked it. It was just annoying how they got there, and they need to do better. They need better writing. But anyway, that's it for today. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. Live stream on YouTube and on Twitch at Super Dario World. If you want to see this video later on so you can see all the images and you can actually picture what I'm talking about, or in case you can't picture what I'm talking about, or it makes more sense, you can do that on YouTube at Super Dario World. The video loads automatically and it should be there in a couple of hours, so there you go. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time.